Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to Filibuster here on the Nerd Party Network. And every day on the network we have new episodes and shows dropping from Nerd Nuptial to Missing Frames and all the rest. So be sure to subscribe to our master feed on iTunes, and if you're listening and subscribe to Filibuster, be sure to leave us a review and a star rating. It really helps us stand out from the crowd. Now this episode brings to an end our coverage of the Edinburgh Arts Festivals with 3 different interviews. First up, we have French actress Laetita Dosch, who tells me all about her role in the stage play La Maladie de la Mort and her breakout role in Jeune Femme. Then we have Rik Carranza, who returns to Filibuster to talk about his 2 shows at the Edinburgh Fringe, Still a Fan and Star Trek vs Star Wars. We also have a talk about the toxic fandom that has become associated with Star Trek and Star Wars, especially in the past year. Finally, we have Ari Shaffir, who speaks with me about his comedy show Jew, where he looks back on his life and upbringing as an orthodox Jew. So read the show notes to find out how to book tickets to these amazing shows, and thanks to all of them for giving up their time to talk with me. Hope you enjoy the episode. Yeah, welcome to the Edinburgh International Festival.
And to Edinburgh,
yeah.
Such a beautiful town.
I know.
I've been walking all the matinee.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful time of year. So much plays, everything come here, and then you're here with Maladie de la Mort. For those unfamiliar with the play, how would you describe it and your role?
So it's from a very famous French writer, Marguerite Duras. Very dark, very beautiful writing. It's about a man paying a woman to have sex with her, and he doesn't desire her. So it's very dark, and so all creepy feelings. I don't know what it talks about. Depression, I think. It talks about. I don't know if people would want to come if they hear me talking about the play because it's so dark. So it's about depression, it's about domination, it's about what is it to be a sex worker also, what kind of relationship is really happening between a sex worker and a client. Yeah. There's some danger, of course, because you're in a room with someone you don't know, so you don't know what's going to happen. They're quite brave, these women.
Absolutely.
The men also are brave. It's not easy, so I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that.
It sounds very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing it on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so,
the story is very beautiful, and Irene Jacob, the great actress, is the narrator. So she's in the box and she's just telling the story, and we do just the lines, and we're on stage in a hotel room. So it's filmed theatre. So we're on stage with we are the 2 characters and with the 2 camera operators, sound designer. We're all working together, and someone is editing the images we film in present and makes a film for you. It's a black and white film. It's on the top of the stage. Yeah.
There's such a fascinating kind of concept, the mix of kind of live cinema, multimedia, and cameras.
Cinema, exactly.
Yeah. What is like kind of the rehearsal process for something like this to kind of navigate that, put everything together?
You work every second after every second. It's very precise, and you take it from the beginning, and you find the right frame, the right position. You will solve all the problems a minute after the other, till the end. That's how you work. And you have to be very precise, you have to count a lot. Lipstick 1, 2, 3, and then because there's a cut at this point. It's very interesting.
So different from any other kind of play that we were seeing here at the festival. Like,
is it?
Yeah, like, the idea of kind of live, stage theatre, films being edited, narrators, sound. It's such a fascinating kind of concept. It really stands out. So it's a fascinating mix of performance, live cinema. It shines a light on gender and sex. What attracted you to this play and this role of the woman?
The first thing that attracted me is the director, Katie Mitchell, because I met her. She said, okay, you're going to be filmed in a very unbeautiful way, and you have to obey me. And I like when people are talking to me like that. It's very straight ahead. It's very, very straight speaking, and so I said, I want to work with her. And then I read the Duras play, which is, it's like poison. So I was attracted in going in this poison. And And then it was also to go to London for 1 month and a half and work with an English team. In English, because we rehearsed in English for everyone to understand. And when we turned back to French, so we play in French, but we rehearsed in English.
Yeah. It must be challenging for you and the actor Nick Fletcher, who plays the man. How easy is it to slip from kind of cast members into this power dynamic between yourselves for two performances a day?
We have to be very friends and very delicate to each other, because we're naked all the time, and we have very close relationships. The bodies are very close, and we have to be cautious.
And obviously the play was first written in 1982, but do you feel the themes are more relevant than ever that now here in sort of this kind of current situation?
You know what gets me chair? She thought that the play was not that relevant today. So, because the woman was not a prostitute. She was bad,
that was one of the changes, wasn't it?
And she made, because she said no woman today would ever want to do that if that's not her job. So she changed little things because she thought that wasn't relevant now. So she changed to be more relevant.
And kind of from Alice Birch, who's kind of involved with the script.
She's really
she's made this character, as we say, sort of a sex worker, and it's from the female point of view now. Did those changes catch you by surprise when you opened the script?
Did you work a lot? Great. Actually, it was more. She came with a script. We started to rehearse, and with Katie, they always talk together. No, we couldn't play this. And so every night she was rewriting the script again and again. So every morning we had new lines, new scenes, and this was great because we were feeling we were in her head, and she was seeing what she was writing in front of her, and so it makes her writing change. So we were like kind of a dialogue with her.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I loved it.
It sounds fantastic when you get that kind of collaboration between the talent and the writers, that you can invest in this role, especially if you're doing it for a month and a half, and in a place like London.
When you ask questions, like why would she do that? And she's like, what? Yes, I have to write a scene. So I think it's very precious to see an author writes in front of you. I loved it.
Absolutely, and it's such an intense role, and it kind of demands so much of you physically and emotionally. How do you do that for, you're obviously going to be doing it for a month and a half. How do you commit to something like that and to look after yourself and your own mental health?
Actually, I hope today was not good. I played very technically. And I hope it's going to change, because it's so much technique that sometimes I forget why I'm here. Yeah. So the risk is not to become crazy. The risk is to become a machine. And I'm always fighting against that. And sometimes I find it, sometimes not. And today I was very sad because I said, I'm just like I do it for money or what? This job. Actually, the character is actually doing what she's doing for money, so maybe it can work.
You're in the zone already. And kind of, what is the reputation that like all these Edinburgh arts festivals have in a place like France? We have such a kind of cultural kind of connection.
You know what? When I say I'm going to Edinburgh, I didn't know about this festival. A lot of persons say, "What? Edinburgh Festival? Oh, you're so lucky, so lucky." It's like Avignon. It's not like Avignon, it's more lovely than Avignon.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And obviously while you're here as well, you're doing an introduction to Jeune Femme, across the street at the film house, and it's been one of kind of the breakout European films here in the UK this year. Why do you think audiences have connected with this movie?
You know what, it's not everywhere like that. I think in Britain, in England, there was a special connection, and I'm so happy about that, and I don't know why. I really don't know. Also in Brazil, in Argentina, this kind of Korea, Japan, and this kind of I don't know why. And for instance, in the United States, it didn't go out. It was not. It wasn't shown. did it work? Depends of the. I'm so happy that it worked in England.
Yeah,
I'm so happy about that.
And here you are, you'll be meeting a full crowd of people that are excited to meet you and to see the film.
Maybe
as well.
we're going to only 10 people. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a full one.
Maybe it's going to be very excited when I meet them.
And how involved were you in kind of creating this story and the role? Like, I was reading sort of things that the Amy Winehouse "Look is your party trick," that you had your own experiences of working in an underwear shop, for example. So how involved were you?
No, that's Leonor.
Oh, right. Yes.
That's the director. Yeah, that's not me. I never done that.
So how kind of involved were you in sort of the script process and
Actually,
bringing yourself to it?
I was listening to her dialogues, to Leonor, and when she had problems, I don't know what to do with that. I tried to come with solutions. That's what I did. I had nothing really more, and also invent the body, way of moving. And so I have one sentence with mine, I think. It's Paris is a town that doesn't like people. Yeah. That's something that Paula could say. It's really pretentious to say.
Yeah. I read an interview with yourself where you talked about like kind of Paris hates people, and it was like kind of all these closed doors that France has to letting people have opportunities. Did you kind of tap into that for the character of Paula, this person that's going from place to place trying to find a chance, an opportunity of a job,
What's
of love?
What's our place? Yeah. In Paris, it's very difficult to find your place. I want to leave Paris. Paris is a very hard city, very beautiful, but very hard, I think, to... Money, it's so expensive to live there. There are no jobs. People are so hard with each other. Going in the metros, it's horrible. Always fighting. It's very hard. Like a survival. It's like a survival movie, actually, Jeune Femme. But when you're in Paris, you're surviving. That's what I think. Yeah. I think Paris is a good place to go for holidays and for the weekend.
Yeah, romantic proposals.
Yeah, but not too long. And when you have money. Yeah. When you don't have money, it's like shit. Yeah.
I'd read that you'd kind of would go around Paris in character. How did kind of the people of Paris meet you when you were kind of like going around? Was there any of those experiences kind of influence?
What I love is when you stop. You're walking and you stop. And everybody is getting worried. What is she doing? What is she stopping? This kind of thing, this rhythm of the body. People are a little bit anxious.
Do you think that's one thing with our kind of society today, that we don't stop, we just keep moving between places?
You don't stop in the streets. You don't. Otherwise, you're doing something. You're forgetting something. You're looking in your bag. You don't stop without doing anything.
We'll never start stopping to check the phone, and then off they go again. And
you don't stop. You don't sit on a bench. And then if you do that, you're old or you're homeless.
When you get an opportunity like this as an actor, is there a pressure being the lead? Like your face is on, is your face the dominating thing on the posters?
We didn't know that.
Yeah, your face is on like the posters. It's just you. The DVDs is just your face. Like the film is almost selling like, who's this person? Forcing you to kind of dive into it. Does that come with a sort of pressure or an excitement as an actor when you get that kind of leading role?
When the role came, I was so happy to read it. It was so well written. But, this kind of French film that maybe, 5,000 people would see. What is good is that it had a lot of camera d'or, so it found kind of an audience. Well, that we didn't know it, that for first we didn't know that, but this kind of part is exactly what I wanted to do, because there are a lot of rebellion in it. It's a new version of femininity. I love this character. She's just a little sister for me,
Yeah. The relationship between you two is just wonderful and stuff. It was so good. Obviously, this female is written and directed by a woman. It's got a female lead, has a single black father in a romantic role. This diversity kind of reflects the Paris that most of us probably know and recognise, that visited it or live in it.
Does it?
I would think so, yeah. Like films from Paris as well. So many of the time it's white individuals, the usual sort of kind of those roles. But was this? It's sort of, you rarely ever see black leads in a sort of a French film, and to see that as a sort of romantic lead, a single father, it seemed to reflect the kind of diversity, and the fact that it was written and directed by a woman as well. That was also another positive. Did you recognise that sort of diversity in the film, or was that just something that
Leonor, she's really. Her boyfriend is from Senegal, so he's black.
Yeah.
And she talked a lot about how he was treated sometimes in the supermarket, and even when we were in Cannes, at the hotel, people at the hotel were checking his bag, you know. So we're like, so it's something very important. She likes to talk about. She feels very lot of unfairness about how black people are treated in France in cinema also.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have a great? I mean, could it be doctor? When we see doctor in a film, why would he be white? We don't know. So a lot of it's a very important question, and I think our second film she's writing now it's about that.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's about his family from Senegal.
Yeah. They've got my money already, and one of the things that I also liked about the film was sort of the dynamic between an older daughter and mothers, and that's not often represented on screen either. Usually it's sons and fathers. You know, in this we get to see that sort of parental dynamic. And do you feel that's sort of something that can only come from sort of a female writer, that, you know, men aren't going to be writing these kind of characters and roles, that it's ultimately the women that are doing it and giving people that representation, and those stories, those relationships like the one in the film, the mother and the daughter, don't get on. It feels so real, but it feels like it's coming from someone that knows what they're talking about.
Also, two things. This kind of character, not the mother, but the daughter. It kind of reminds me of the woman in It's a Free World, you know?
Oh yeah.
Ken Loach movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Ken Loach, he wrote beautiful characters in women. So, but it's you know, in France, the relationship between the mother and the daughter, a lot of people said that it was not credible for them, that they wouldn't believe what's unbelievable.
I find that's just crazy to me. There's such a resistance to why wouldn't a mother and a daughter? Because we all know these people, if that was a male son and a father, we'd accept, they have these bickerings and falling out and stuff like that. Is perfectly believable, and why not for a woman?
The thing is that they don't talk. That's beautiful. That's what I love. They can't talk. No talking is possible. Yeah. And that happens a lot now in families.
Fascinating. And kind of finally, after the year taking this play to London, what kind of other roles, projects can we look forward to kind of seeing you in next?
So this year I've been working on a play with a horse.
Wow.
But if you want to come, I don't think I will be able to come with the horse in England. So you have to go to Paris or to Marseille, and in Paris it's from the 15th to the 23rd of September.
Excellent.
Or Geneva. And I've been shooting this summer. I was in a film which is more like a little bit more commercial film. Okay. With a French actor that I love. It's called François Damiens.
Okay.
And it's lovely. I'm a social worker. It's kind of a lovely film for all of the family.
Oh, wonderful.
I was very happy to do that.
I look forward to seeing you in a family-friendly movie, especially maybe after this play and stuff. It might be a kind of milestone.
And then my favorite one, I'm going to, you know, it's a French writer called Annie Ernaux. And she wrote a beautiful book called Passion Simple. And I'm going to play that.
Oh, wow.
That's really good. So I might have a film, a comedy.
Oh, excellent.
Called The Cobaye. It's about a couple that they don't love each other anymore. So they're gonna be go to a doctor who will test some medicines on them so they can love each other again.
Wow. I like the sound of that. It sounds like a good science fiction film and stuff like that. Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best with all these different films. So welcome back to Edinburgh, Rik, and welcome back to the show. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you again today. What's brought you back to Edinburgh this year?
Well, it's just nice. It's always nice to come home, isn't it? Edinburgh's my hometown, but I just can't stay away from the Fringe. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, I guess that's the Scottish part of me, and it's just like my heroin. It's just I can't get enough of it. So it was nice. It's nice to come back. I've got brought 2 shows back. Star Trek versus Star Wars, as always, which is my baby. It's my bread and butter. I love doing that show. And then I brought Still a Fan Up, which is it's like the 2.0 version of the show I did last year. It's a lot. I'm very proud of it now. I was proud of it last year. That's harsh to say. That's like saying to your kids. I was proud of you when you were 5, but when you were 4, you were a bit of a dick, right? But I mean, like. I'm proud of the changes that I've made to it, and I think it's a much tighter show, and it seems to be going over really well with it. So that's what I brought back. And it's quite nice as well to be sort of here at the Gilded Balloon, which is that's been an experience. I've never really worked with a paid venue. It's been quite fascinating doing. It's nice that the level of support here is insane, but it's just nice, especially because this is like my dream venue. This is what I've always...
amazing. Well done. So how many years have you done the festival for now?
Oh, I think I have done it 9 years too many. No, I think my first... It was funny because, like, because I'm an Edinburgh resident, or local, I used to be anyway, I've always known at the festival. I've always gone to the festival as a kid, and I dabbled in the festival a couple of times when I was a child. I dabbled in it, and I did a theatre piece back in 2007, which was... we got 2 stars from the Scotsman, which is worse than a 1 star.
Yeah, that's what they always say. The 1 is the worst.
Yeah, if you want to get 1, because then at least people will pay attention to you. If you get 2 star, and people go, but we got that, and it was quite fun, because the review says like half the cast were overacting, half the cast were great, but they never specified who. Yeah. So to this day, you know, it's like who was overacting, who was underacting, who was the perfect.
For your
one.
LinkedIn, we'll say you were the best.
I was obviously the best. Yeah, I wrote the music for it as well, which was quite interesting. And there was in one review they commented on the music, but instead of calling they called me Rik for the acting part of it, but they decided to call me Riz for the music, and I was like, guys, it's my music, give me some credit. So that was quite interesting. And then it was 2010 is when I made my comedy debut, and I've done the Fringe every year. 2012 I didn't do a show, but I was doing other stuff. But I've done every Fringe since 2010. Yeah. So it's been quite a few.
That's amazing. And with like the kind of your show almost stands out to me because, you know, for some reason whenever I see like these festivals, I was like, oh, where's the sci-fi show? Where's that kind of thing? That's still a huge niche, it seems here. You get the odd Doctor Who show, you know, there's, you know, you get the Marvelous people. There's different things like that, but there never seems to be that big thing where like the sci-fi fans that always kind of come along to these events can turn up. But you seem to be that kind of regular beat here. Yeah,
I mean that's nice. It's quite interesting. I talk about it in my solo show, but it wasn't always that way. It's only been recently that I've sort of re-embraced being a geek, so to speak, being like that sci-fi guy. And it's quite nice that like when I created these shows, I just wanted to do something, like especially with Star Trek versus Star Wars, I just wanted to do something that I would enjoy seeing. I just wanted to do something fun. And the horrible thing about that show is that I created something that I really enjoy, that a lot of people have said that they really enjoy, and now I can never take part in it. I can never. There's days I'm going like, I want to represent Star Trek. I want to represent.
I always think that same. I watch this all going, I want to be up on that stage.
Well, imagine being the guy who's on the stage hosting it, and I'm going, but I want to make that argument. And so it's great, and it's so nice. Like especially this year, you know, we've had sort of. What's been great is not only I've had people who have come to the show now 3 years running, audience members and stuff like that, people who have continually come back and people who enjoy it and stuff like that. But what's been nice is that it's been spreading around the comedy community as well, is that people know the show, they know me because of the show, and they're asking to be part of it. They want to be part of it as well, because it's just I've done my best to try and create a fun atmosphere where basically anything can happen. And we can be nerdy and stuff like that, but what's quite nice is that you don't have to be nerdy yourself to enjoy taking part or to enjoy watching it.
Do you think that's the kind of counterbalance to, like, you know, we look at the past few months with things like Star Trek and Star Wars, like the amount of toxic fandom that's going around, like people like tearing down actors and talent that involve this is canon, this isn't canon. Whereas your show seems like a nice counterbalance. That is like people having a geek out what we would always maybe do in those things when we had a friend where it's like, no, Star Trek's better than Star Wars for this reason, opposed to like, no, yours is terrible and I hate that.
It's funny. I think the worst thing that's happened to Star Wars and Star Trek and a lot of stuff is the fans. Yeah, I love like. Don't get me wrong, I love the franchises, but I also understand that they're just movies or they're just TV shows, and I take great joy in what I've watched and what I've learned from them and stuff like that. And I think it's really important as well that people do take great joy in it and taking pleasure in watching these things and embracing them. But the fundamental thing is if something isn't for you, if you don't enjoy an aspect of that, that's not a personal attack on you. It's not taking away anything that you've already got from it. All that it's doing is that it's creating something new for someone else to enjoy. Take The Last Jedi, for example. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. But a lot of people didn't like it. But, you know, you've still got your original trilogy. You've still got whatever you've got the prequels.
Exactly,
if you really
lived through that period of time.
Exactly. So you've still got all that stuff that's out there. Just because they've created this last movie doesn't mean that it takes anything away from what your experience is. And I think it's important. I wish that people would take more realization, more joy in what they have enjoyed experience, and had a little bit more. If something isn't for them, just to go, that isn't for me. That isn't for me, and that's fine. It's okay not to like something, and it's okay if something isn't to your expectations, because you can still embrace the things that you have already.
That's what your show just seems to do so well. It's just that perfect counterbalance to that toxic fan where you get bored of people doing the same arguments and going over the same round. It's like that's a fun debate. That's like especially in the 90s. That's all we had as kids. It was like Star Trek. I prefer Star Wars.
Well, that was the thing. When I created the show, it was just like it was on the basis of these stupid arguments that we were having over which would win in a race, the Enterprise or the Millennium Falcon, who would win in a fight. And I think those things are wonderful, and I think like they are rife for comedy and rife for stupidity and play and stuff like that. And that's what's really important. I think when you start getting into I think people start taking things way too personally sometimes. And I think it's like, it's interesting because it's quite funny because I've created a solo show where I talk about how Star Trek defined who I was as a person, or helped define who I was as a person, but I wouldn't say Star Trek's the only thing about me. It's just that Star Trek was important to me when I was growing up, and I think there's a lot of people when you start talking about the toxic fandom, it's that these people, they just don't want anything to change. They don't want. They've wrapped themselves so much in the identity of Star Trek or Star Wars or Batman, whatever it is, that any slight deviation from what they expect feels like an attack. And I understand why that feels that way, but I think that's part of it as well. Is that sometimes I think when people feel disappointed about something, it's because they've raised their expectations rather than going, I wonder what they're going to do, and engaging with what has been created openly. They're going, no, I want this to be the thing that I want to happen. And when it doesn't meet their exact sort of expectations, it can feel like a disappointment. So I get it. I'm coming down way too harsh on fans. I think way too harshly on them. But I do think sometimes it's just, I think we should just take a bit of time to appreciate that we do. Do you know what? I think we live in a golden era.
Absolutely.
Of nerdery, of geekery. We've got Star Trek is going strong. I love Discovery. I'll put my cards on the table there. And I'm really looking forward to the new Jean-Luc Picard series.
Yeah, I heard you were on 5 Live chatting about it.
That was surreal. Oh God, that was very surreal. But it was amazing, and I feel grateful for that. I love The Last Jedi. I haven't seen Solo yet. I will admit that, but it's fine. But then there's loads of others, like loads of Batman's going through a great phase right now with like all the animated stuff that's coming out with Batman. The Marvel universe is obviously becoming bigger and bigger constantly. We really live in like this amazing time where there's so much content for us to consume, almost too much, I will say, because my list is ridiculous.
So when you find that you can't see you have time for a Star Wars movie, that blows your mind as a kid. Of course I would see a Star Wars movie, but sometimes life gets in the way.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like if I got like we've all got like Netflix or Now TV or whatever, and my Netflix list is stupidly long. I've been watching Lost in Space. I've been watching loads of other stuff, and it's like that stuff takes over your life, and you just go, there's so much out there, and I think it's I just hope that people just sort of start taking a little bit more appreciation for what is out there, and start rather than sort of demanding what should be out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And with you're talking about we're almost coming into a golden age of Trek. We've got Discovery, we've got a Picard series, we have all these different things. Like obviously in the past few years when you've been doing your shows, we've had like a sporadic movie, for example. Now we're like, a year ago I remember telling Chad going, what do you think about this new Star Trek series? Well, this could be interesting. Like a year later, do you almost see like the benefits of that show being out, where now people, like I know people that weren't fans before will have seen that show and now will maybe come along and see a show like yours?
Well, yeah, I think it's madness, because if you think back to the 90s when Star Trek was constantly on TV, and even Star Wars was there in the background, it was perfectly normal to expect that stuff. And it was really sort of the early part of 2005 was when Enterprise was cancelled. If you think about it, there was that long period where it was all filled with reality TV and stuff like that. And what's mad is now that, yes, with this new Discovery series, people are watching it. And this is the beautiful thing, is that because when I watched Star Trek, when I first watched it, it was Next Generation, and I had to watch it once a week, BBC Two, Wednesdays, that was it.
It was also into theatre point of view, I think.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the only time I had to watch it. I had to wait every week for a new episode, and it was always out of order as well. The wrong airing order, really annoying. And that was it. Whereas now, what I think is beautiful, I think is wonderful, is you can watch Discovery and you can enjoy it, and then Netflix, because you're watching it on Netflix will then pop up and say, hey, would you want to watch the original series as well? Do you want to watch this as well? Do you want to watch this as well? It will suggest all these shows that can go alongside it, and it's just, I think it's great that people are then watching this one show, that maybe the newer one, but then they're able to go back quickly and discover and reconnect the other one. And it does mean I'm getting a lot of people coming to shows who are old fans, but I am getting newer fans as well.
That must be fantastic to see that as well. It's not just the familiar faces, it's that young blood.
It's wonderful. I mean, it's nice to have all this new content sort of being created to watch. It's a nightmare for the show.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to come up with all these new questions and stuff like that, but it's I love it.
And you've got your own podcast as well now. How did that kind of come around? I've enjoyed the episodes that I've listened to so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you. The Geekatorium. Yeah, so basically I came out the tail end of, it was actually about 2 years ago. I was thinking, I wanted to talk to people about what they liked. I wanted to celebrate sort of geekery and what people enjoyed. I always felt like there's a lot of podcasting out there and a lot of stuff to do around geekery already, but a lot of it's very analytical.
Yeah.
Where they're discussing the latest episode, what's happened, stuff like that. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to people about what they loved, why they loved it, find out the real reason for it. And it's been really cool, sort of. It's mostly been comedians right now, but there's been the odd people now and again who aren't comedians. But it's really cool just sort of talking to them, and it's lots of different things. And what's really nice is just finding out what people liked, and you can see what shaped them and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And we've covered loads of stuff. We've covered music, we've covered video gaming, we've covered a lot of Star Trek, obviously a lot of Star Wars and comics and stuff like that. And it's just really nice. Every conversation just feels a little bit different, which is really cool.
It's great to have such a positive voice at the Fringe and online as well. So if people want to come out and see your shows, and what kind of times are they on, where can people find them, and obviously your social media, I love those pictures. It's the Klingon bird of prey above the fourth row bridge was particularly class. I want to get that framed above my mantelpiece.
That was me. I came up with doing them the other day, when I first arrived. I wasn't going to do anything like that. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I literally walked around the corner on McEwen Hall to come to the Gilded Balloon, and it was really dark, and not dark, but it was really overcast. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I took a picture, and then I was like, ooh. And so I found this app, and it allows me to, it's like Photoshop basically, and so it made me to put a Death Star right above the Gilded Balloon, and from there I've just not stopped. It's I just keep finding stupid things to do, and so I was out of South Queensbury and I did that one because I thought, this is just like Star Trek 4. This is final. This is the voyage.
Did you see Macy just going down the fourth?
Yeah. So that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, if people want to come see my shows, Still a Fan is at 1:00 in the afternoon, which is 6 in the morning for a comedian, so people should really appreciate the efforts I'm going to wake up. No, it's at 1:00 in the afternoon, and that's at the Rose Theatre down at Rose Street. It's part of the Gilded Balloon, and if they want to see Star Trek versus Star Wars, so that one's on every day now until the end of the Fringe. Star Trek vs. Star Wars is on a bit of a break right now, and it comes back on the 16th. And it's you have to. It does some funny days. I've got a few days off of it, but it comes back on the 16th, and that's at 10:30 at night. And that's again at the Gilded Balloon, but here at the TV. So
and I encourage everyone to go along and check them out and stuff. So
come.
And I wish you all the best with the rest of your festival, and keep spreading your positive message.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Get that. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Ari. I really appreciate it, and it was a fantastic show this evening. As an atheist, that type of humour just absolutely nails what I love.
Yeah.
For those that aren't familiar with your show that's here at Edinburgh, how would you describe it?
Well, I mean, for you've seen it, you're writing it, but like, I just try to take the normal outlook on it. Where it's like, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie, and you're like Spider-Man, let's say, and you're like, okay, I'll give you, he has spider powers, but I'll judge it on the spider powers. So if something starts flying, you'd be like, no, that doesn't make sense with the world you set up. So I'm just taking like, all right, God, I get it. You did all this stuff. Now let's examine, based on the world you set up. Let's look at it realistically. With
that, like, you've come here to Scotland where we don't really have much in the way of a Jewish community. And
almost none.
There was almost that moment at the end where it was like, what are the Jewish stereotypes? And people naturally focus on, money, noses, as someone pointed out. What's it like bringing a show like that to a country where perhaps they don't have that familiarity with Jewish culture? Does it worry you, or does it potentially the excitement of, these people are going to really laugh up in the absurdity of what you're talking about?
Well, I've been trying to run it in places intentionally where there's no Jews. So all my jokes pretty much start in New York, where there's tons, and even if you're not Jewish, you're still aware of them because there's so many religious Jews around you. And then I make sure to take it to places like Perth and Edmonton and like and here, where it's like, you guys might not have heard of this. And so I get to work it enough to where it's like accessible to people who have no idea what I'm talking about. Because in the beginning they were like, I don't know what any of this is. Rural Georgia in America, where people are like, what the like, so we have horns. So if I can make them laugh, then it's universal, not just the Jews.
What's the moments that like surprise you when they translate, where it's like the shock in the audience to going like, wait, that was a thing that you did?
Oh yeah, a lot of them, they're like, what? I'm like, oh no, I see it. Like, I see it on people's faces. I'm like, I get it. No, it's crazy. It's a legit crazy thing I'm into here, but yeah.
And like, obviously you've kind of got Netflix originals, your own podcast, your own series. What was the appeal of like coming to a place like Edinburgh to perform?
Well, I've been here before a couple of times. Once just because it was like, I'm kind of a romantic with stand-up comedy. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I moved to you gotta see Paul Curry's show. I moved to New York just because I had this romantic idea of like all these New York comics when I was in LA talking about the former New York comics, like about the bookers there and the clubs. I'm like, I want to see that. So all these people talked about, like, here or there, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is the biggest festival in the world. And I'm like, we have Montreal. And they're like, it's not. It's 5 times bigger than that. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But I've always wanted to try it. So I did a few years ago, and I liked it. And then I'm like, I came up with a 2 Edinburgh plan. I just did my storytelling show that year. And then I came up with a two-year plan to, like, show the audiences here what American stand-up is like. So the first year I was like, I'm just going to do a regular hour of just regular jokes the way you would see an American headliner do. Like, here's start to finish jokes for an hour, good night. And then the next year is to try, which is to tackle like the fringe style, which is that thematic type of hour, but to do it in the vein of American comedy, which is what's the main thing that's lost with UK comics when they come here, is they drop funny for I have no idea what reason. And so they just stop being funny, they get serious for 20 to 40 minutes at a time. And I'm like, you guys are failing. You're failing at the main thing you're supposed to be doing. It's like a musician, instead of John Lennon writing a song about peace, calling it Imagine if he just stopped singing and go, guys, there's war, maybe religion's not the way to fucking become together. It's like, why don't you stop your song? It should be pretty the whole time. And comics should be funny the whole time. Make your points, but be funny. And they're failing. And so my plan was to come here to show these people what real comedy in the country that started it and perfected it, what it's really like.
And
so that's what I'm doing.
And how are audience responding to that? Like, it's such a high ratio.
They fucking need laughs. And everybody comes here and talks about their dad's death and the fucking 7th time they got raped. And people are like, dude, I come to forget. Or fucking do that in a funny way. So I'm just trying to show them that exact same shit, but funny.
And how do you keep that up for like an entire month? Like, that must be like a challenge, or is that where all like the hard work, all the graft?
Yeah, but I've been started doing this like almost 15 months ago. I started working this hour. So now I've been headlining it in America in different clubs. And so the whole goal, though, of this was to bring it here for this. So this is just a victory lap for me.
Absolutely. And while you're doing this, figure out where can people kind of find the show and see it here in Edinburgh if they're looking to come along and get a laugh and not hear about people's dead dads.
Oh, yeah. Well, The Hive, for sure. And there's other comics who are doing just funny, too. Like Carl Donnelly's a UK comic who sort of embraced that, like, funny first, then theme is second most important. It's almost like, I get it, you're reaching for the stars, but like, you failed. It's like setting the high jump bar really high and then not even coming up to it, where it's like, I mean, good try, better try than the guy who set the high jump at 2 feet, but like, you failed. So the guy who set it for 2 feet beat you. So yeah, there's guys like Carl who are doing it, and a bunch of American comics are now coming more and more.
Mm-hmm.
John Hastings is Canadian, but he's doing it, but he's a London comic, I guess. And some of them are like more like into like funny. But to see me, I'm at the Hive every day at 6, plus I'm at added shows at 4 o'clock on Saturdays.
And finally, what is it like performing at the Hive? Because, as you said, I've been at the Hive. I've been,
You've been
here,
here,
like,
right?
I used to come here, and you're so right about how people behave in here. And that smell of that toilet.
They told me about it, and I was like, hey, yeah. And then I walked by here at 3:30 a.m. one day, and I was like, oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
It's so garbage, but I love it. There's no cell phone reception. I saw somebody in the audience say, take out their phone, I could see it on their face, and then just kind of like put it away. Because you're like, oh, fucking nothing, no signal? Unless you work for NASA, you're not getting a signal here. It smells like vomit. Your whole line of what you'll accept goes down. You walk through these, the fucking floors are sticky, and you're like, you know what? He's not going to offend me. We're in a fucking house of pain.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of your festival.
Thanks, man. Nice to meet you.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Nerd Party.